You can breathe, but we can still hear you. All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to ODNT Spotlight. My name is Steve DeWinter, your host, and we have with us a wonderful author guest who is also a noted expert in her field, and her name is Ava Gordon. Boy, I almost missed it up there. Ava Gordon, and she is a genre-bending paranormal fantasy author, and she has written several series that she has begun, starting with the After the Bane series, which is Apocalyptic Moon and Raven Moon, and there are werewolves in these stories in this universe. She also has another series that she has done. This is a novella series, and the Alpha Wolf's Pet, starting with Hidden, moving on to Hunted, and then Kept, which she's also boxed together in a box set for a great reasonable price on Kindle. So definitely check that out in the ebook, where you can get all three books in one low price for that. Also features werewolves in this universe. She has another series that she's begun, starting with Lycan Gladiator. And this is in her Wolf Maiden saga. And this is the first book in probably a 50-book saga. Who knows? We'll talk to her about that. And again, this one also stars werewolves in it. She also has a steampunk novel dealing with golems and everything, and there are some werewolves in it. While not the feature of the story, she cannot let herself do a story without her expertise in it, and you can hear her giggling in the background and everything. And then she also has a spin-off to her Alpha Wolf's Pet called, oh nope, we're not there yet. We also have her fantasy novel, Stone of the 10th Realm, which is a historical fantasy, but doesn't go as far back as we normally think when we talk about historical fantasy novels. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And, of course, there are some werewolves in this one, too. And then her spin-off series from the Alpha Wolf's Pet, her new series coming out in 2016, the Team Grey Wolf series, starting with Slade. And we'll definitely talk about that. And I want to talk to her also about that logo that she has on there. So let's go ahead and let's switch on over and meet the wonderful Ava Gordon. Hello, Ava. How are you?
Hello. I'm good. How are you?
Excellent. Welcome to ODNT, where we get to shine the spotlight on you.
Yay.
So let's go ahead and let's talk about your different series here. So what was the first series that you wrote?
Actually, the first book, my epic fantasy, The Stone of the 10th Realm, was my first book, and it was first published, I think it was 2012, small British press, all English, British English, in it. And then that little publishing company folded, so I kind of ignored the book for a long time, put it aside, got my rights back. Then, and then I tried to get it published, with big New Yorker.
Right.
But, yeah, that didn't work out. But anyway, so I decided, why not publish it? It's one of my favorite stories. And, I do have book 2 in draft form. I started it a while back.
Ooh, exciting.
And so, yeah. So that one's called Alchemist of the 10th Realm.
Oh,
so
nice.
I thought, well, so I self-published it. And the copy, print copies on Create Space. And so far it's got 24 5-star reviews on Amazon.
So it's good.
I hope so.
We know it's good now.
It's long. It's huge. It's
epic fantasy.
Yeah, it's an epic fantasy.
So it's kind of small.
Yeah, right, yeah. So that's technically the first one. And then Lycan Gladiator, this series, the Wolf Maiden saga, I actually wrote several books in that series, and worked with a small press. Things didn't work out, so I got my rights back finally, thanks to the help of my agent.
Oh, good.
And so there's several other books in this series, but Corvallis Press published this one. And we decided, let's make it chronological. So we're starting with ancient Rome, and the next one takes place during King Arthur's time, and that one hasn't been published yet.
Okay.
And then the one after that is Beast Warrior, which takes place during the Viking era. So those are written, but we need to revise them and put them out again.
Right, and they had been previously published.
Right.
But now they're pulled and And now you're going to re-release them out.
Re-release them, right?
Excellent, with all brilliant new covers.
Yeah, right, yeah. Sexier covers. Right.
And then your next series that you did, you also had After the Bane series, which is kind of your apocalyptic horror, but with vampires and werewolves.
Well, no vampires.
Oh, no vampires in that one? Oh,
the only dead people in there are the zombies.
Zombies, that's what I was thinking of, the zombies. I knew there was something other than werewolves in there.
Right, yeah. So, and that one's a paranormal romance, dystopian elements. It's got just about everything and a little humor. I love adding humor, and so
I think humor makes horror so much better.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, because people do stupid things, right? You open the door when you hear like scratching and stuff like that.
You walk into an empty room that you know the killer is, and you go, "Bobby, is that you?"
Is that
and you keep walking in, and the
right.
flashlight goes out, and you're like, "Oh well, I'll keep going in."
Yeah. You hear the shuffling of feet. You know they're zombies. Don't open the door.
Exactly.
That sort of thing.
They're not bringing pizza.
Yeah, and that one was published by the Wild Rose Press.
Oh, okay.
And then Amazon Encore noticed it, and they decided to buy out my contract.
Oh,
and now they have it exclusively on Amazon, and it's doing really well on Kindle Unlimited, especially since it's free for members.
For the people in the Kindle Unlimited.
So suddenly my ranks are like really doing well because of.
Well, and you have the power of Amazon behind you now that you're an official Amazon author.
Right.
Within their publishing group, which is great. So congratulations on getting noticed by the big Zon.
I got noticed. I think it's 61 reviews I got on Apocalyptic Moon, which really surprised me because I thought, who's going to want to read this is a fun story to write, but are people really going to read?
The more fun you had writing it, the more fun we have reading it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
That always translates, because if you're slogging through and going, this is a horrible story, but let me just get it out, no one's going to like that story.
No, yeah.
You have to enjoy it.
Yeah, I do.
So. And then you also have the one we talked about with The Stone of the 10th Realm, which was your first book that you did a long time ago, and now you've since re-released out.
In American English rather than British English.
So we stripped all the U's out of color and...
Yeah. You'd be surprised how many people, the first time I published it, how many people wrote saying you misspelled color and, you didn't spell pajamas correctly.
It's like, no, you live in the wrong part of the world.
Right, yeah. Right.
Wow. Yeah, that's very, very interesting that the people are going to, oh, you misspelled it. No, there's other ways to spell that.
Right, yeah.
And so The Stone of the 10th Realm, while that's historical fantasy, it doesn't go all the way back to 1400s and, or the 12th century, England that we think of. You go back to World War II.
Right.
Which is very interesting. And so you've got this parallel realm. Tell us a little bit about The Stone of the 10th Realm.
Okay, The Stone of the 10th Realm is basically the story of Sophie Katz, who's in Prague during the start of the Second War. The Nazis invade. She's imprisoned along with her family in Treblinka or Terezon. And her grandfather, who's a Kabbalistic rabbi, has been told that the angel of death is coming to get her. And so he comes back from the other side to help her escape and gives her 2 stones. The gray stone will take you to a world where humanity's really advanced, and they're practically like the Borg.
Very advanced.
Very advanced. There's no love, no religion, but, it's no one's getting killed, I guess.
But it's still not a good place.
It's not a good place, and you'll find out later.
Given up so much.
Right. And then there's a 10th realm, which is a magical realm, and she's like, because she's a scientist. She's a chemistry student, and so she doesn't believe in any magic at all.
So surprise. Yeah,
surprise. So she escapes first to Prague at the Altnashul, which is the synagogue where the Golem supposedly lived, the Golem legend. The Golem was this creature that Rabbi Lowe in the 1500s brought to life to help protect the Jews from, pogroms and that sort of thing. So supposedly his body is still there. And anyway, so she escapes there, and then she's, I don't want to do spoilers, but...
Right, not too much.
Guess where she ends up, yeah.
Excellent. And she gets some schooled in science is real, but so is magic.
Right, and she finds out that on the other side, on the 10th realm, in the 10th realm, she's an alchemist. And at first she doesn't believe it, until, a dwarf has to prove to her that she could turn lead into gold. And she's like, no, I can't do that.
That's not possible.
Yeah. So, and then, of course, she meets, another, she falls into this area called the bestiary, which is really dangerous, but she meets, her mate. But again, I don't want to do spoilers, but another one of those werewolves.
And so werewolves play a part in every one of your stories, even though you've written, 1, 2, 3, 4.
I'm going to get away from them pretty soon, but yeah.
5 different universes. Oh, you're starting to break free from the werewolves.
Well, I'm working aside. I'm also doing a science fiction, but that's another story.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Sci-fi's always fun.
I do love. The reason I love werewolves so much is that, my background's in zoology, and I taught biology, and I volunteered at a wolf sanctuary. And, I took my son, it was a summer, and we went to Oregon, and we stayed in the trailer, the only 2 people in this huge in this huge wolf sanctuary, over 36 wolves.
Ooh.
And we were sound asleep, then around 1 o'clock in the morning, they start howling. All 36 of them or so.
Wolf email.
Yeah, exactly. And so my son goes, what if they're werewolves? Well, needless to say, I didn't sleep well that night. I found a hatchet, and I slept with that.
Just in case.
Yeah.
Is it a silver hatchet?
Yeah. So ever since that, and then I really got into werewolf lore, and then I always loved werewolf horror movies. And then I started thinking, well, what if you make a werewolf like a romantic figure? And I wasn't the only one. So I thought I was the only one who came up with that idea. But then, look around, everybody's writing
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere, those werewolf lovers,
But they're going under the name of Shifter.
Shifter, yeah, Shifter, yeah. So I guess that's more politically correct these days.
That's the new term. Well, because then it can be anything, Yeah. I'm a were snail.
Right. Yeah. And in fact, in my After the Bane series, I have raven shifters and bear shifters, and I especially love raven shifters. So, because
ravens are cool.
Yeah, that's what I would be if I were a shifter. I'd become a raven.
Excellent. And I always think about,
I have proof of that. So.
Oh, excellent.
Here's my raven puppet. I
I
don't know where to put him.
There he is.
That's Rave from Raven Moon, which is book 2 in my After the Bane series.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, because I liked the title for that, Raven Moon. I'm like, whoa, neat. And then, of course, your website is ravenauthor.com.
Right.
And everything. And for those of you who are watching this, and if you're watching this embedded in another website, just click the little link down there that says watch on YouTube, and then you can see all the descriptions down below. I've got Ava's both Amazon US and Amazon UK links here, as well as connecting with her. I've got her website, her Facebook, her Twitter, her Goodreads, her Wattpad, her Pinterest, her Triber, her blog, all sorts of stuff. So there's many, many ways to connect with Ava. And, I highly suggest also she has a mailing list where you can find out, because she's got 5 series already, and she's just spilled the guts that she's working on a 6th one.
Right.
And sci-fi series to boot and everything. So I highly suggest going to her website, ravenauthor.com, and signing up for her mailing list there so that you can be alerted as the next books come out.
Not only that, but I'm running a campaign. If you join my mailing list by October 31st, which is Halloween.
Ooh, we got 15 more days.
And I'm going to pick a winner on November 1st to win a $10 Amazon gift certificate. It's not a
Oh,
big deal, but it's,
you can get anything on Amazon.
yeah, that's right. All my books.
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
So you really have researched werewolves to the point where you are now considered a world-renowned expert in werewolves.
well, in
You
my
run
home.
online workshops for Romance Writers of America.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And presentations at libraries. I just did a presentation, the Wiley Library, on the animals of Game of Thrones series. So, so I had to talk about the wolves from their point of view, the dire wolves, and then the ravens and that sort of thing. So that was kind of fun.
So you're able to use your real world experience of zoology and
mhm,
say, here's how it happens in the real world, and here's how
right,
we can then shift that to, and notice how I use the word shift
mhm,
that into the fictional worlds.
right. Because there's all sorts of different ways to become a werewolf. So no two authors are going to write the same werewolf story. I mean, you can become a werewolf by wearing a belt, a magical belt, or drinking water out of a pool where there was a wolf print, or a
Ah,
curse, or being bitten, which is the Hollywood one,
right. That's the one we all know.
and the moon and all that. So there's and in my Alpha Wolves Pet series and Team Grey Wolf, my wolves are born wolves first, and then they get bitten by an alpha father who's human, and then they
Ah,
become human.
so
So
it's
that's
the
like,
reverse.
yeah, it's like man bites dog.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that's something I wanted to experiment with. What would it be like to be a wolf for the first 3 years of your life? Because a wolf reaches adulthood, around 2, just like your typical dog, or
Right,
3.
right.
And then at 3, they undergo something called a change, which is after being bitten, it's a really painful process. And a lot of them don't make it. So,
Oh,
and usually the alphas and the betas make it, but the omegas and the runts definitely don't make it, with the exception of Cricket, who's from the next book, Slade. She's the only runt that's ever, survived the
oh,
change.
so very special.
Yeah, very special. So, but that was kind of fun. So,
So you've, even though you've written 5 different series in different universes that all do werewolves, each
mhm.
one they become werewolves differently.
Differently, yeah. Most of my werewolves are genetic, where you're just you come from a long line of werewolves. So the Stone of the 10th Realm, that werewolf Logan, he's cursed. So he was cursed by a druid. So he's more of the old horror style werewolf, you know,
Right. So
versus
you
the
you went and
others.
you did your research on werewolves and said there's all these different ways to become a
Yeah,
werewolf, but rather
right.
than saying, "Well, let me pick one," you're like, "I'll pick them all.
Yeah, I want them all. It's
I want
too
to
much fun
explore."
for one of them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you want to explore all the options,
right.
and
Yeah.
I think that's just brilliant.
Yeah, why not? It's
Why
like,
not?
yeah. So, but and I don't know how many people have written stories about wolves that are lichens that are wolves first and then become people, but I'm
That is
sure there
something
are.
new. I have not heard that.
Right.
That is a good concept. But now that everyone's going to see this on YouTube, we're going to see in
They're
about
gonna
a year 10 more stories about that.
Yeah.
But you
So,
saw it here first, folks. Ava Gordon started that trend.
yeah, right. Yeah, I thought I started the coloring book trend too, because I started coloring books to kind of relax, and then I went on Facebook and I noticed that that's a trend, and I didn't know.
People are already doing it.
I'm already doing it. Yeah. So.
Excellent.
Hmm.
So I have gone over everything here that I had on my list. So is there anything else that you wanted to talk about for any of your series? Dive more deeply into any of the series that we have here that you want to let people know about?
Let's see. Well, I wish. Well, I'm working on in the After the Bane series. I am working on book 3. That one's going to be called Blood of the Moon.
Ooh,
And
nice.
yeah, and so last, I don't want to do spoilers, but in book two, I always have a good ending. I don't like cliffhangers too much. So that book two ended, but it also ended with, okay, well, these zombies are all migrating from Southern California heading in our direction. And there's all sorts of evil people out there still. There's the tankers. The tankers are people that go around, kind of like The Walking Dead. You see evil people go around killing, people that are still alive and
Right.
hunting them or eating them or whatever. And then we've got the kindred, which are werewolf hunters. So even though they go around killing zombies, their goal is still to get rid of werewolves. And then we have the Benedonti werewolves, which are evil because they were created to kill all the witches in Europe.
Oh,
So,
wow.
and my main character, Dora, she's a witch. So they're still around. So there are all these
Nobody's
bad
getting
people.
along.
No one's getting along. Plus, you have zombies. So.
So you pretty much have decided no cliffhangers for your stories.
No, not really. I leave questions like, well, what will happen next? I mean, you can, like on my Alpha Wolf's Pet series, the main character is being chased by the Russian mob. And in book one, she kind of figures out that her boyfriend is a werewolf and in order for her to go out with him, she's got to, follow these rules. And then in the next book, we get closer into, their relationship and how the pack views that, she's a human and all that. And then in book three, we find out more about the Russian mob. And that one ends in book three, and people are happy that it ends there. And they're like, yay.
It's done. And
But
so,
it's not too cliffhangery, I hope.
okay, yeah, it's not like you didn't finish the story and you just said, haha, you got to wait for the next book.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I'm not a big proponent of cliffhangers per se,
Right.
but I do like but wait, there's more.
There's more, right. There's more
Uh-huh.
questions.
It's not so wrapped up and tight that there's nothing else that could possibly happen.
Right. Like
But
in book one, it's like, well, we know she escaped the Russian mob, and then at the end, she's safe, but are they going to come back? Are they going to find her anyway? So,
right.
yeah.
And as action-packed and fantasy and werewolves and everything these books sounds, you still have a pretty solid romantic element.
Right. I love the
books.
romantic elements. Yeah.
And
Because that's all part of life. You have a job, you have a love interest, you have hobbies. That's all part of life. So.
Excellent. And do you give your characters happily ever afters?
Yes.
Okay.
No spoilers there. So technically, I'm a true romantic. I'm not. It's not a love story where she dies of cancer or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't know why that
Hate
movie was
that.
called Love Story, or based off the book. She died. That's not a love story.
That's not a. That's
That was
not
a
romance.
horrible story.
It's horrible. Yeah. So yeah, no, there's nothing worse than falling in love with two characters who fall in love with each other, and then one of them wrote Romeo and Juliet or whatever, they both die. I don't like that.
That was awful.
Awful.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like to make sure that my characters get what they want.
Right. Yeah.
And, and maybe there's outside influences that are going to come in and just shake everything up, but
Right.
at least for now they got it.
Right. And my paranormal romance is, it's geared more for adults. It's got scenes for adults, violence, sex, you name it. The Stone of the Tenth Realm and Hand of Miriam, I mean, there's romance, but it's not, I would think a young adult could read that.
No, very nice. Very nice.
So.
Okay, so I've also exhausted my additional questions I had from talking with you and everything. So is there, so what's next from you? You said that you're working on a science fiction.
Yeah.
And are you sure that there are going to be no werewolves in that story?
Positive, because it takes place in the future, dystopian world, and it's just based on humans. So
Excellent. So what was your inspiration for writing a story for the Stone of the Tenth Realm? What was your inspiration for setting it in World War II, picking that as your time period?
Okay, my inspiration actually was a book called Hasidic Tales of the Holocaust. And I found this book interesting because there are a lot of books on the Holocaust and horrible and this and that and
Right.
no escape, you just survived. But in this series, they talk about paranormal, real stories that happened, like brothers coming back from the dead and guiding, their relatives out,
To
and
safety. Wow.
right. There's this one story of this great rabbi, and he's escaping through Hungary, and there's Nazis there, and they're coming, and then all of a sudden these three horsemen, they're in white horses, stop the Nazis from taking the people in the car, and the Nazis go, oh, they salute them and all that, and so the driver assumes that, oh, well, these three generals on these horses are probably, really important people that the Gestapo had to pay attention to.
Right.
And the rabbi says, no, that was my grandfather, my great-grandfather, and his uncle or something like that.
Oh.
So, and these are all based on true stories, so
Right.
it's interesting. And then another interesting thing about the Stone of the Tenth Realm, in terms of the golem, the Altnoshul, which is in Prague, supposedly Hitler was fascinated with, really the paranormal and all that. And so he sent Gestapo men to the Altnoshul to look for the golem. And this is an urban legend, but supposedly they went in and never came out. So, and another interesting fact is that synagogue was not destroyed for whatever reason, despite the fact that other synagogues are being destroyed. So
right. That one was left alone.
Yeah. So I kind of like that, and that sort of got my imagination going.
Excellent. All right. So thank you so very much for joining us on ODNT and letting us shine the spotlight on you and your books.
Yay.
And talk about werewolves. Always fun.
Yes, werewolves. So.
All right. Well, hey, thank you very much. So don't hang up on me just yet. I'm going to go and switch over the screen. I'll close out the interview, and then I'll be back to you and we'll chat for a couple more minutes.
Hi, everybody.
All right.
All right.
So that was Ava Gordon, and those are all her wonderful, wonderful books. And right now, you have until October 31st. So if you're watching the YouTube video right now before October 31st, 2015, you have until Halloween of this year to go in, sign up for her mailing list. And so go to ravenauthor.com, sign up for Ava's mailing list, and then you'll be put in the hat. And maybe your name will be the one picked out to win valuable, wonderful prizes of a gift card for Amazon. So once again, my name is Steve DeWinter, your host for ODNT Spotlight. Thank you very much for watching with us as we talked to wonderful Ava Gordon and talked about werewolves and had all sorts of fun today. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. We have many more authors, artists, actors, musicians, anybody who'll come on my show. I'll have them on my show. So thank you very much. Have a great day. Bye.